it must be hard to decide how a series is going to be produced. When you have dual concepts or dramatic situations like abuse, parenting, immigration, etc., those tend to be those tend to need a different type of direction and tone. But if you or someone else higher up think that you need to include comedy, that can be kind of hard to include into a dramatic series. Comedy can be used to break up more difficult scenes, or it can be like the main focus, and drama can be used to emphasize more serious situations. Rarely can you have equal parts of drama and comedy, and the series still works. African Twist attempts to play 50-50 card in this series, and I'm not sure if it quite works. Now, when doing a review, I like to give my perspective so you can understand my preconceived notions going into it. Now, this being a series about women from Africa working in a hair salon, about their relationships, is definitely outside my comfort zone. So I'm definitely a casual viewer in this case, but I open my mind up to go ahead and actually give some main character thoughts as well. I watched the first 2 episodes on new shows on streaming content to see if they're worth your time. But sometimes there's content that doesn't get the love. Sometimes it's because it's a foreign series. Sometimes it's because it's not marketed on a huge platform. And sometimes it's just because it's not good. Now, I put these types of shows into what I feel is my Varnell Hill series, because these shows want to know. Did you miss me? So I'll let you know if this little known series is worth your time. Do me a favor, if any of that sounds great, do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. And now, let's get into this review. So African Twist premiered on Tubi in May of 2023. It has 10 episodes, each about 30 minutes, and it stars the following folks: Tiola Doyle as Madam G, Helene Albabi Williams as Sade, and Akadema Deadweiler as Akeo. So here's the storyline for African Twist. An undocumented Nigerian is within minutes of getting picked up by ICE, but escapes into hiding only to find herself as an accidental new hire at an African hair braiding salon. She navigates the sisterhood of this new group of first and second generation immigrants, each one silently managing their own secrets, including domestic violence, prostitution, single motherhood, and more. So, filling out that storyline, I will tell you, for my casual viewing entertainment, I'm looking for a good story and characters that I can root for or dislike. I have to really buy the ongoing storyline, and I have to care about why things are happening. From a comedy perspective, I just needed to hit the right notes of timing and delivery. Now, main target audiences, they're going to be a little bit more forgiving on the story if the characters are well written and or are likable. In dramatic scenes, give good acting and show consequences of actions. Whereas main characters and main target audiences are going to have a similar expectation as casuals in comedy. It's going to depend on timing and delivery. So let's see how they fix up the African Twist. That's all I could come up with as far as a joke. I don't, as you can see, I don't know many hair jokes. So, just, alright. Now, there are demands on the cast in this series to deliver on dramatic and comedic roles. And most of the time, they really can't do both. They are usually awkward in one, but comfortable in the other. And it kind of, so when they're asked to do comedy and they're good and dramatic, it's a failing thing, or vice versa. And there's actually a few people that are not good at either one, just being honest out there. I will say that Helene Alabi Williams as Sade plays her dramatic role as an abused wife pretty well. You can see a good performance here. And for comedy, I kind of like Adamia Deadweiler as Akeo. I smiled a few times at her performance and what she did. Another notable performer was Wendell Kinney as the abusive husband, Dr. Dale. If I was dude, I would probably try and smile a little bit more, because his performance was like a little too good. So when he is done with African Twist, I hope he smiles and is really friendly off of camera, because that role came across pretty daggone convincing. I also liked a couple of the random shop customers in the two episodes. They made for some smiling types of scenes. I won't say that I bust out laughing, but they actually did have me smiling, and it was entertaining. Overall, the acting was okay. I might see one or two of these people in the series being able to do bigger things. And I think main target audiences are going to be okay with the acting. I think casuals were kind of shaded a little bit of being like below average. And that's kind of like how I feel about that. The direction and the story is the glaring part of this series. The unevenness of how everything is laid out really stands out. Like, here's an example of how uneven this series is. The Sade character is running from ICE, and it's supposed to be like really a dramatic scene. You know, she accidentally ends up in the shop, and the girls in the shop kind of treat the situation very nonchalant. And there's kind of like this comedic attitude and comments and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like a little cringe, and it's like a little out of place to me. Now, compare that to a similar situation that happened in Barbershop 2, where Cedric the Entertainer's character comes barging into the barbershop while running from the police during the race riots in Chicago. And he actually keeps the barbershop from being set on fire as kind of like a thank you to the barbershop's owner, Ice Cube's father, for him hiding him when he was running from the police or whatever. And then he goes and actually keeps people from like burning that shop down. Therefore, friendship is forged, and there you go. So it's a good origin story. And so they had comedic elements in there, but ultimately they understood that it was a dramatic scene and it needed to be treated as such. And so I don't think that African Twist kind of understands the whole thing of being uneven with those. If it's going to be a dramatic series, fine. Comedic can go ahead and actually be kind of intertwined in there, but it shouldn't be held up at the same level as a dramatic. Or if it's going to be a comedy, then let it be a comedy with maybe a dramatic scene here or there, you know. But that's just the way that I feel things are going out in there. So the story being uneven, it definitely is going to be difficult to keep a casual viewer's attention in the stories that are being told. Overall notes that I have for this, honestly, the production is noticeably low in this. The camera and the sound work is awful, and coming from somebody that, one, you can see how bootleg my sound is and my setup is or what have you, and I think I could have been done just as good a job, if not a little bit better, on the camera work. And the sound job that was done in here is just a poor plan production, being honest. Random costume stuff thing is bad too. Like, there's just some weird things on there, like when there's ICE agents on there, you can see like the ICE letters taped over like black clothes. That was just comical. You can tell that they found difficulty getting like proper settings and spaces to film as well. So like as a result, we're given settings in people's homes that are supposed to be like schools and offices, hotel rooms when it's supposed to be homes, and it's noticeable. Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes you can kind of forgive it, you know, because of being low production, but it's noticeable, and it kind of takes you out of scenes a little bit, where you're trying to go and actually get into the dramatics of it, and just like, okay, this is kind of trash, and it's noticeable. But I'm not blaming the people per se, because if you want to do something, you get out there, you do it. You don't really care about the budget, you'll make it happen or what have you. But when something comes to a platform and people are there to judge it and see it and see if they're going to entertain and things like that, you just have to try and get a little bit more security as far as, if you can, if your scenes and setting are going to be great and the costumes are going to be great, then have very good production in regards to your sound and your camera work and things like that. If your camera work and sound isn't going to be as great, hey, at least have some beautiful scenery, at least have some very good scenery shots and things of that nature, so that I don't notice the low production as well. But when everything kind of drops and your plots are like, you know, all over the place and uneven, it has an effect on the series overall. So what's my verdict? I think for main target audiences, this is going to be a one episode watch. I say watch one because the series does have a point to make and it's legit. You know, people that come from other countries and try for a better life in the US definitely have to deal with a lot. And when they're women, it's doubly hard. There are some good points and a good couple of performances to observe to see if you want to experience the series going forward. Despite the poor production, I do like the message that's going on here, and I like the effort of the people that are included. They were actually trying to make a competent series. For casuals, unfortunately, I have to say, this is a skip it. The premise and meaning of the series is noteworthy, and I can see some people are really trying on the production staff, but if you're not the target audience for this kind of series, there's not much to keep your attention. There's not much for you to be entertained by, and I just have to be real is that you're going to find other ones that you can still go ahead and actually address those noteworthy concerns on there. So again, for main target audiences, watch one episode. For casuals, it's a skip it. And that's what I have for African Twist on Tubi. Go ahead and actually check it out.
This is a story about African immigrants who come to America to find the American dream.
I appreciate you giving me your time today. I really do. Do me a favor, click like, share, subscribe. Also, take a look at one of the other videos over here that maybe you would like of one of my other reviews. And until the next time, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.